In this video, I'll show you how to overpower the ambient light with a single speedlight.
Adorama TV presents Take and Make Great Photography with Gavin Hoey, where you'll learn how to take stunning photos and then polish them in post-production. Here's your host, Gavin Hoey.
Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV. Now today I've come down to the beach, and this is a beautiful beach down in Somerset. But look at this lighting, look at this weather. It's really drab and unexciting. If we had really dramatic clouds, then maybe this would work. Or if we had some lovely bright sunshine and some nice textures on the rocks, maybe that would work. But as it stands, it's not a particularly exciting time to take photos. But let's take something anyway. I've got Freya here, she's going to be modelling for me. And I'm just going to put my camera into program mode, into P mode, and we'll just see what it does. Okay, are you ready? Yeah, that's about as boring as a photo can be. So how can I take that really dull photo and make it more exciting? Well, good photography is all about good light. So I'm going to control the light by adding my own, and my light's going to come from a Speedlite flash gun. So hang on there a second, I'll go grab it. Right, okay, so here we are. This is my Speedlite. This is a Canon 580 EX Mark II flash gun. What's underneath it? Well, that's a Gorillapod, simply because I want to keep this off the ground and give me a little bit of control over the direction of the light. For the trigger, I'm using my STE2. Of course, if you have a different camera, your pop-up flash may be able to trigger the off-camera flash remotely. And you'll find out a lot more information about off-camera flash by visiting the Adorama Learning site. Okay, so how am I going to set this up? Well, I've got to overpower the ambient light, and although there's not an interesting light, there is a lot of it, so I need to put this onto full power. So it's on full power, and I'm going to switch my camera into manual mode. Manual mode means I'm going to set the shutter speed to the flash sync speed. Now for the Canon 5D Mark II, that's 1/200th of a second. That's where I'm going to start. Let's put the flash in place. Let's go. Okay, so I'm basically ready to take my shots. I'm at a shutter speed of 1/200th of a second. I'm on ISO 100, and my first shot is going to be f8, and then I'm going to go through a couple of different apertures and see how that affects the picture. Okay, Frey, can you put the umbrella up for me? Because it does feel like it's going to rain, and certainly in the picture it's going to look a lot more moody. Fingers crossed, hopefully. So that's the look we're going for. Okay, let's take our first picture at f8. Right, okay, so if you can just look over there, that's brilliant. Well, very good. Here we go. Okay, so in f8, that's quite bright. Remember, the flash is on full power, so that is looking very bright indeed. I know you can see the flash in the picture, but we'll remove that inside of Photoshop. Okay, so f8 may be a little bit too bright, so let's wind it down one stop to f11 and take the same picture. Okay, here we go again. Keep looking over to the side. Very good. And to me, that looks pretty much about right. Now, I'm kind of happy with that. That doesn't look too bad at all, but let's try a couple more. Let's go down to f16. That's down one more stop. Here we go. Now we're starting to get a little bit darker. Remember, the flash pushes out the same amount of light every single picture. So I can't change that, I can't make it any brighter. And at f16 it's looking a little underexposed. We might as well try one more though. Let's go the full way, f22, and see what that looks like. Yeah, as expected, very underexposed, but that gives us the full range of pictures to look at. So there we go, we've got a selection of pictures. In my mind now, I know exactly which one I want to use, but let's get these into Photoshop and see exactly what we can do with them, just to enhance them a little bit in post-production.
So here I am inside of Photoshop CS6, and what you can see on screen is my final picture. This is where we're heading with the processing. Now, of course, it doesn't start like that. It started with a raw file, but one of the really good things about doing off-camera flash, where you try and you experiment a little bit, is that the picture you bring into Photoshop actually doesn't need too much work. And in this case, there's a couple of things I want to change, but nothing too dramatic. The first things I'm going to do are all kind of global things. In other words, it's going to affect the entire picture, and then we'll do some more local adjustments. So the global things, well, that's going to be things like the white balance that I'm going to change to flash. It's going to be things like jumping over to the effects and putting a bit of post-crop vignetting in there. And it's going to be something like going and getting the straighten tool and straightening the wonky horizon, because the sea in Somerset really doesn't flow uphill. Just a slight error there in holding the camera. So all of those things affect the entire picture, but I want to make some local changes as well because, and I know this will come as a shock, I want to increase the clarity in the picture. Yes, I know, I love clarity, and I really want to max out the clarity in the shot like that. And when I do that, it looks terrific on the clouds and great on the rocks here, but not so good on the subject. So let's undo that. I'll just double click the slider to reset it to its default setting, and I'll jump over and use the adjustment brush. Now the adjustment brush will allow me to make changes not to the whole picture, but just to small areas. And if I get the clarity, and I'll put it all the way to maximum, I'm going to paint clarity, actually not on a small area, I'm going to paint it over everything. Because although I can paint it on small areas, you can also paint it over the whole picture. But then you can get the erase tool. And if I just zoom in a couple of times so you can see why I'm going to do this, let's go in one more, there we go. With the erase tool, I can actually come onto the skin tones here and just erase them back so they don't have that harsh, really digital look that really isn't suitable for skin tones but is amazing on the clouds. So I can have the best of both. Okay, what other local adjustments do I want to do here? Well, there's a little bit of colour in the sky. It's not much, but it's just enough. I'd like to actually get rid of that and bring it back to black and white. So let's go get the adjustment brush again, and I'll make sure that new is selected, and I'll take my saturation all the way down to -100. I'm also going to come down and turn on auto mask. Now personally, I don't normally have that on because I find it can give some unexpected effects, but now I really do want it on because I want to mask the picture, or at least I want to desaturate the picture, but not the umbrella. And you can see my cursor goes over the umbrella as well as the sky. So with auto mask turned on, it'll affect the sky, but not the umbrella. And that works so well. That actually does work perfectly. Okay, one more thing to do. I'm going to turn off auto mask. I'm going to go back and make a new brush, and this time I'm going to increase the saturation to +100%. So I took away colour from the sky, I'm going to paint it in down here on the rocks. Okay, we're actually done here. I can click on the Open Image button, I can leave RAW behind, and we'll move into Photoshop. Now I could stop there, but there is a fairly glaringly obvious problem in lots of sense of the word. It's this flash here. It's kind of right there, isn't it? Now I could remove it using the clone stamp tool, but I'm going to use the patch tool here. Because in Photoshop CS6, the patch tool got a bit of a makeover, and Adobe added content aware ability. Now, it was pretty good before, but now with content aware ability, I can just draw around the thing I want to remove, and I can select or sample from an area like, say, there, and it'll use that as its guide. It's not a straight one-for-one swap like the clone stamp tool would be, but it gets pretty close. And then I can just come in and maybe just sample a couple of other areas, and I can make all these brand new rocks from nothing. These kind of bright ones there. Let's go sample some darker rocks. And it's just perfect for an area of the picture like that where there was a light source, but now it's gone. And there it is. There's my picture completed. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.
Adorama TV is brought to you by Adorama, your best source for the equipment and knowledge you need. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. Place your order by 7 p.m. and it ships the same day. Plus, the next time you're in New York City, be sure to visit our store located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. Check out the Adorama Rental Company for professional cameras, lighting, computers, and more. We'll help you make the best selection to match your needs while giving you the knowledge to achieve the best outcome from your rental. Adorama is your complete solution for equipment, printing, training, and more. Adorama, more than a camera store.